All right, Harry. So our topic today is Bible translations. We actually got a comment on one of our videos saying, which one do you recommend? So go ahead, Harry.
Yeah, then this is not going to be a high-end book review, but I still think it's important to chat about it, is how I see it. Obviously, I, like most people, am biased by my journey, even though I have a reasonable education. English has not been my strong area.
Mhm.
Shakespeare never worked for me. For my first 30 years of Bible reading, it was the King James. Then, when I got the first NIV Bible, it was like somebody switched on the light in the room. It was just beautiful. The King James is a grade 12 level English. NIV is grade 8. What a joy that was.
Mhm.
Justin, you like the NASB.
Mhm.
Why? What's your thoughts there?
I preferred it for like a majority of my reading just because it's more of a word for word and modern English as well, right? Where it's not as much as like the King James version tries to be word for word, but like you're saying, it was Shakespeare. It's an older English, so the NASB is something where I've grown up for my whole life and I'm able to understand it, and I like that aspect for studying where it's word for word.
And the ESV?
Yeah, it emphasizes word for word as well. So they fall into the same category in Bible comparison.
They're both about grade 10.
Oh yeah, grade 10, 11 type thing. Modern day
Yeah.
English, yeah.
So the NIV being grade 8 is simpler.
Exactly. And it's more of a
Yeah.
like a thought for thought with the word for word, whereas the NASB and the ESV are directly word for word.
Okay. And NLT, you've read it some?
Yeah, I actually like it in the morning time when you're a little tired and it's a simpler read and you're not studying, you're just doing a devotion. I tend to read NLT in the morning time for that sake, and just it's a enjoyable read for me
Yeah.
anyways.
Good. And the Gideons in Canada, they use the NLT only. It's a grade 5 English. And I like it for outreach. It's a nice, it's at a level where people have never read the Bible or just kind of new or younger. I think it's really good. The Canadian Bible Society, they used a Good News. It's also a grade 5. I like it better. I think it's a little more accurate. It's a little older and so on. But an American Bible Society, on the other hand, they use a contemporary English version. And the contemporary describes it well. It's modern and more liberal. And the message is softened down, and not exactly the message that Paul or Jesus would have given, but it's okay, but it's a little
Mhm.
wonky. Some newer versions are also quite modern in message. Other ones, the book, The Message, is a Bible that was written by a fellow just by himself and to his taste, and it's quite inaccurate. Other modern Bibles, your thoughts?
Yeah, there's one exactly like that. It was written by one person. It's called the Passion Translation. And every time I read it, it's just it's the person's thought, right? Like they're just it's a watered down version of really what Paul's saying, like you said, or what Jesus is saying to fit their doctrinal needs.
Right. The King James Bible, a little bit of background. A lot of people worship it. It was for sure the best Bible from 1611 till 1850, approximately. The King James Bible only covers the material that was available when it was written. And that was a Textus Receptus. And it was a really, really good Greek translation, but it was based on 1100 to 1500. It only covers that little time period in there at that time. Today, we have 10 times as many old manuscripts and parts of books and so on as we did at that time. But they go all the way back to the year 200. But none of that material was available in the King James. All modern versions, except for the King James, use this information. So for new Christians, young people, I strongly recommend either Good News or NLT. For serious Bible study, I believe NIV, American Standard, ESV, NASB, or something similar is good.
Mhm.
Study Bibles are good too, but for the historical and locational aspects. But for the commentary, be careful because they have a denominational slant that Jesus didn't have. So be a little wise to that. So if it's your denomination, I guess it's okay, but it gives a slant on the theology.
All
And
right.
that's kind of a summary.
Yeah, and I got a trick question for you here, Harry. What's the worst Bible somebody can have?
The one they don't read.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
All
so
really when the ones that we mentioned, the major ones there, either way, whichever one fits you, I think it's a good place to be as long as you're reading it, of course.
Yeah, and you should get to you actually, if you're really serious about the faith, you should have two or three or four different
Mhm.
translations to go through them back and forth and check your favorite verses and make sure that they're
Mhm.
but also the critical parts. Read them in different versions so you get the true meaning. And we have to remember, Bibles, like there's thousands of years of language change and everything. It's really hard to get a real, everybody is just guessing at some of the words, and but really, the message is very simple and clear. Like Jesus, his message comes out loud and clear. There's never any excuse for saying, well, the Bible's inaccurate. There's tiny little 1%ers here and there. Don't
Mhm.
worry about it. That's not what's going to mess with you. Like, what's going to mess with you is your own unwillingness to do what
Walk
the
with
Lord told us to do.
it.
And
Mhm.
so any Bible is really quite good as long as we're willing to walk it.
Amen. Thanks a lot for this, Harry.
Thank you.